Peak Wealth Management proudly presents Finding True Wealth with certified financial planner Nick Hopwood and accredited investment fiduciary Jim Pilat. Nick and Jim believe by making simple, good financial decisions, you can retire with confidence. And now, let's turn it over to your hosts, Nick and Jim.
Welcome everyone to episode 173 of the Trust the Plan podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Jim.
And we trust the plan, the plan, the plan.
Always.
And we're excited right now because spring break has arrived, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Can always use a nice break this time of year, right?
Yeah, we've been grinding all year.
The winter starts wearing on you, and spring break seems to come at a good time.
We're 50s. I got a t-shirt on here.
Yeah.
Subscribe, right?
There you go.
Yep, that's how you get it. And let us know because, YouTube doesn't tell us.
Yeah, who wouldn't want to wear that around all summer long?
It's the Black Frost.
Yeah.
Is what it is.
It's great.
And the Navy Frost is coming.
Even better.
Yeah, they're going to be great. Anyway, what's on your agenda for spring break?
Well, my girls are actually playing volleyball in Atlanta at the end of spring break. So our plan is let's head down early. Let's check out a city we haven't seen, and we're going to go to Hilton Head for a few days before we make our way over to Atlanta. So, yeah, a little bit of a road trip, but we'll see a couple of different parts of the country we haven't seen yet, and hopefully get a lot of sun. And
how far is the drive to South Carolina?
It's like 13 hours or so, I think.
So what's your strategy for driving?
We're going to leave Friday night, get as far as we can, and finish up on Saturday.
You don't think you can make it?
I don't know if I want to make it. I'd be cruising at like 3 a.m, and that's, that doesn't sit well with me.
Well,
I don't handle
can't you get some relief? Like,
well, one would think.
Okay, got it. We'll leave it there. Okay. I am also excited about spring break because I am going with my oldest boy, Hunter, who's 15. Just the two of us are going with his school on the World War II historical trip. So it'll be good dad and lad time.
Yeah.
And, London, Normandy, Paris, and Brussels. I'm not sure what I don't know much about the World War II history in Belgium, but it's part of the tour, so let's go, right?
Yeah, what a cool tour.
I'm really excited.
You'll hear some interesting things, and you'll see some cities you've not seen, and
exactly.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, lots of cool stuff to learn and witness firsthand.
Yeah.
But also, you know how it is with the 15-year-olds.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Especially if they have attitudes.
It'll be a roller coaster maybe, huh?
Well, I'm looking to avoid the roller coaster, right? Like maybe, work on the relationship.
There you go.
Yeah.
What a good time to do it.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's the idea.
Bonding.
Yeah, that's right. So what are we talking about today?
Today, we're going to talk about a couple different things that came across. One was a statistic that said people are 50% more likely to trust a friend or a family member than they are an expert. And I found that to be really interesting and very true for our business, right? How many times do you have somebody call you up and say, hey, my brother-in-law says this is a stock, we got to buy this stock, right? Or the neighbor says this thing's going to go huge, we got to get in on it, right? And these neighbors, these friends, these people have no knowledge, no expertise, but because they say it, people believe it.
Yeah. I can remember back to when I was like 19, having those feelings, like a buddy, read an article and I got to go buy the stock,
right?
And I got to buy it now. Like I can't delay without delay, right?
Right, because I'm going to miss the opportunity.
That's right.
You got to strike while it's hot.
Yeah.
But we see that with stock tips. We see that with taxes, right? CPA, I'm sure, has the same kind of problems they deal with, right? Lawyers, right? All this stuff. How many times do people say, "Oh, I had my parents put me on their account so that I can have access to it in case they die"? Well, we talked to the estate planner a couple weeks ago, right? And he said, "Bad idea. Don't do that." Right?
That's right.
So all of that was what was on my mind, and then as I came across an article that talked about a guy who had this blooming trading career, right? He felt really confident with his trading ability. He felt like he knew the market. He knew how to get in and out at the right time. So he convinced his friends and family to give him $500,000 so that he could trade with. Guaranteed him a 10% return, and I guess he keeps the rest, I guess, was his business model, right?
Yeah. I wonder if he was bragging so much, and then people were like, can you take some of my money? Or if he was like, come on, you got to give it to me, right?
Yeah.
I wonder how the dynamic was with that part of it.
Yeah, that's interesting. But the two different things kind of came together for me to see, well, I understand why people would do that, right? Because your friend or your family member who's confidently pitching something, people, like the statistic says, they're likely to believe them, they're likely to trust them, they're likely to think they know what they're doing. But it kind of, the way the article went led me to another topic as well, though, is how difficult it is to trade, right?
Oh, yeah.
So basically this guy's story is, I lost my shirt, right? I tried trading. 2022 was a tough year. Did you have a lot of luck buying and selling stocks in 22?
No.
It was a rough year. So many things were down. Everything was down. That this guy lost a lot of money. Now it's fracturing the relationships and so on. But it led me to think about how hard it is to trade, and how many times we run into people who have this overconfidence, right? We had a pretty good run in the bull market for 10 years, right? And everybody thinks they got it figured out, and if it's not just, it's crypto, right? It's meme stocks, it's all these other, hot investment ideas that people think they can outsmart the market and make those picks and win. And we see time and time again that proves to be a really difficult thing to do.
All of a sudden on my Twitter feed, I'm getting these NFT ads. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I just don't think I can ever understand.
Okay.
I guess I understand it. It's just not for me, right? Like, the digital image of, my dog,
Right.
like, so how is that worth $1 million?
Right.
Like, what if I just take a snapshot of it or a screenshot? Is that worth $1 million, or is that a copy, or is that fraud? Like, what's
Right.
the point, right? I just.
Yeah.
Not for me.
It's that, but that's another. I hadn't thought about that, but that's another kind of segment of the market that was hot
Yeah.
for so long. But there's countless stories about people who bought one of these NFTs for $1 million something, and now it's worth $20,000, and nobody will buy it. Right?
Yeah, or nothing. Yeah.
I mean, the meme stock. I remember reading tons of articles about GameStop and all these, AMC and all these stocks that blew up, and it was crazy, and then people thought they had it figured out and they knew how to continually beat the shorts and make all this money on them, and sure enough.
Remember AMC went from like $7 to like 77, and I went to the movies, and there was no one there. I was the only one. Like, I'm not talking about like being in a movie that no one wanted to see, where there's other movies that when I pulled into the parking lot from when I left, I was the only one.
Right.
Like, there's nobody. And then I remember going to the gym, and this guy was like talking about AMC, and I'm like, dude, like, this company is doomed. Like, no one goes,
Right.
And he was talking about how it was going to be great, and it was going to the moon, and now it's back to 7 or less.
Yeah, less, I think.
So sometimes those emotions just really, get out of control.
Right, and I think cryptocurrency is another great example of that, right? As Bitcoin was going up in value, you had to get on, you're going to get left behind, right? And how many people bought Bitcoin at 40, 50, 60,000 a share, as opposed to, this 15,000.
It was 15,000 like last month, yeah.
I know.
But now they don't want to buy it.
Right, and now they don't want to buy it.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to get hung up on those things and caught up in the emotion of it.
Yeah.
But,
I have 2 stories, okay? One is when I was 19, okay? I was in college, and I was an intern at American Express Financial Advisors, and there was this advisor. So everyone falls victim to this stuff, okay? This one advisor was talking about this penny stock, and there's the ticker, I think, was EISQ, and it was like electronic identification something or other, and their whole business model was the idea that they would have, and this is before 9/11, okay? So they'd have a driver's license or something that had digital certificates. It was like, I don't know, like some sort of next level ID. You know what I mean?
No more fake IDs. Yeah.
So that was like going to be a whole big thing, and like law enforcement and passports, and I was like, oh wow, yeah, that's the future, right? So like I had to like open up a brokerage account, put money in it. Like, it couldn't get done fast enough, right? So guess what? It's a zero, right?
Yeah.
Just like so many others. and it was a penny stock. So these penny stocks you really got to watch out for.
Yeah.
So I had those emotions, and I always remind myself of how I felt at that time, even as a kid. Okay. And now we're more wise, right? We have some wisdom, we have some experience, we know better, right? But we still have to remind ourselves. Second story is a dear friend, okay? He works for like a Fortune 500 company, and he likes this stuff. He likes, investments and looking at the charts, and it's like a hobby, right? So since he's always talking about it at work, everyone's asking him, hey, Jim, what should I do in my 401? And he's like, oh, you should do this and you should do that. And they're coming to him for advice, right? So he decides he doesn't like his job anymore. He wants to become a financial advisor. So he leaves the Fortune 500 company, becomes an advisor. Guess what? Do you think those people are coming to him now asking for 401k advice?
My guess is they enjoyed the free advice, but they're not interested in paying for the advice.
Zero.
Yeah.
And he's like in disbelief, like, how could this be, right? Like they wanted the advice and now they don't, right? And
Yeah.
this is years ago, but it definitely reminded me, I definitely was reminded of it by this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. It's kind of funny with the statistic we started talking about, right? They were more willing to trust him as a friend.
Yeah. He was a friend.
As an expert.
As soon as he becomes an expert,
They don't want it
forget
anymore. Yeah. It's crazy.
So maybe it is about, what did it say? Like distrust? Maybe it's really just about the fee.
Yeah, it could. I'm sure it weighs into it.
Yeah, it's not, there's clearly multiple reasons, but maybe that's one of the bigger ones.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything else?
So, just kind of wrapping it up, I think trading, while it's exciting, while people get, thrilled at the thought of a big win and putting all this money into a stock and seeing it double, trading and timing the market is just, people will say it's a fool's game, right? It's just so hard to do that, we think, you can't go wrong with slow and steady wins the race, right? Making sure you're using good investment advice, you're diversifying over long periods of time. And that's the way to win, and if you have an itch to scratch with trading, it's got to be a small part of what you're doing. I think
I like that.
It's too risky to put, big stock in that kind of thing.
I mean, in a world where 80% of mutual fund managers, these are professional stock pickers, cannot beat the benchmark,
Yeah.
which is unmanaged, how are you going to do it?
Right.
As a novice.
Right.
So I
Sitting on your couch reading Yahoo articles and stuff.
Well, that's exactly it. So I think what you said at the very end, right there, was perfect. Where you can do it, but don't bet the farm on it, right? You can have your core portfolio and have a separate account that's over here that is your stock picking account.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
Yes. So scratch the itch, but don't bet the farm.
Yeah.
That should be our new tagline.
It could catch on. I like it.
It's catchy. Okay, well, I guess that's it for this week. We'll see you soon. After spring break, hopefully we'll both be more tan.
Yeah.
You've been listening to certified financial planner Nick Hopwood and accredited investment fiduciary Jim Pilat on the Finding True Wealth podcast, sponsored by Peak Wealth Management. You can learn more about Peak Wealth Management by visiting peakwm.com or follow on Twitter at nhopwood1.